So the question, the topic for today, amongst other things, is how can you leverage your previous careers and experience? And with that being said, I have my special guest on today, Audrey. Audrey, thank you for joining us today. Can you hear me okay, Audrey? You are muted. I'm going to unmute you. There you go. Hold on.
Oh, there we
There you
go.
go. There you go. Thank you, Audrey. Tell everybody where you're joining us from.
I am joining you from Scottsdale, Arizona.
Beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona, and orange is the color. We coordinated this today, so I
We
appreciate
did.
you
We
doing
did.
that today. Orange is the color. It's the fall color. It's a tiger's color, and so Audrey, you and I met last year at the EXP conference, and I pose questions all the time to people watching our live stream. Hey, if you have a question, let us know. And one of your team members sent that in like, hey, we have a rock star former attorney on our team. How can we leverage her legal career as a team, but how can she also leverage that as an agent? And I said, that's a great question. Would you mind being a guest on our live stream? Because I know you have that question for you specifically, but I'm sure others have that same question. How can they leverage their previous career and weave it into their story, into their unique value proposition? And you agreed to come on today. And so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So you grew up, tell everybody your story, because your story is really important, because many people think you have to come from real estate. You have to come from luxury. You have to have a father or a mom that came from a legal background to be an attorney. Tell everybody your story coming up from a very rural Illinois town.
Yes, Michael. I grew up in a small town in west central Illinois, so about 4 hours southwest of Chicago. My dad was a hog farmer, so we had cattle and hogs and corn and soybeans. But I was raised to, look towards your future and, really leverage your skills. So I decided to go to law school after I graduated college. So I went to law school at DePaul University.
Yeah, so I'm typing this in right now, and don't shy away from your story. I was a former high school health and PE teacher. I got an 18 on my ACT the first time, and I got an 18 the second time. And so I teach agents that, listen, if a former high school gym teacher could sell luxury homes, now mind you, I've invested a lot of time in trainings and materials and books and coaches, and Tony Robbins says success leaves clues. So I have learned from the best, and I've given credit. I'm not self-made. I've learned from others. But if you, a former hog farmer's daughter, a former attorney, can be talking to developers, and we'll talk more about that here in the second half of today's show, what's holding others back, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, hey, we got a DePaul alum listening here. Ryan Horvath from Chicago Title is so. Ryan, what year did you graduate, and what about you, Audrey?
I graduated from DePaul Law School in 2009.
2009. All right, very good. So Ryan, you could type that in the comment section, but we have Audrey Myers on the show here for those of you who are just tuning in, or for those of you that are watching the replay. And today's topic is all about how can you leverage your previous career, or and don't be shy of your story. Don't be embarrassed of your story. I was doing a training out in uh, California for a guy named Brent Gove. Many of you know Brent Gove, and it was in Granite Bay Country Club in July. So about a month and a half ago, we had over 200 agents in the room. We were talking about how to break into luxury. By the way, those of you that are watching on Instagram, the best way to interact and to see Audrey is to go to our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, type in Marketing Luxury Group, and you'll find our YouTube channel. Hit that red subscribe button, and you'll be able to see Audrey, and you'll be able to ask her questions. Oh, by the way, Ryan's a couple of years older. You in 2002, he graduated, but Ryan, we got another DePaul grad on here, and so on that training that we did out in Granite Bay Country Club for Brent Gove, and it was brand agnostic, we literally had an audience member say, hey, I'm a former barber. I'm a part-time, I'm just getting into real estate. I'm a former barber. And so how do I tell my story? Okay.
Mhm.
And so each of you has your story. Don't be shy. Okay. Don't be embarrassed by it. Okay. I had on my podcast probably 2 months ago, Heidi Joy. I think she was episode 196. Heidi Joy went through a bad divorce and she remembered Googling herself and she couldn't find anything about her online about herself as a real estate agent. And she said, you know what? I got to tell my story. I got to tell more people about me. And so Heidi Joy um, was she was in that same situation. And so if Heidi Joy was a little embarrassed about her story, not not necessarily embarrassed about her story being divorced, but embarrassed that she couldn't be found online and she wasn't telling people her story. And so that's really what we want to help you guys be. She was episode 188. I want to recommend that to anybody that wants to hear Heidi Joy's story, how she Googled herself and she couldn't find anything about her online. Heidi Joy was episode 188 on Luxury Listing Specialist podcast. And this is what we are doing right now. We have literally, Heidi is in all of us. We all have a story in all of us, and so does Audrey Myers. And so Audrey is going to tell everybody a little bit about her story. And Audrey, so you went to DePaul, you got your degree, and tell everybody you didn't get your real estate license right away. Tell everybody what you were doing.
So when I was at law school, I fell in love with my property law classes, and the real estate firms weren't hiring. So I found a job with a discount brokerage company, and they were looking for a secretary. So I went to work for them for about a year and realized I liked real estate. So I got my real estate license one summer while I was in law school, and I sold homes for just friends and family. Graduated law school and started working as a mortgage foreclosure attorney. So I was that attorney that unfortunately had to take homes away from people when the market was crashing. So I've been able to talk to clients and people
By the
that.
way, I think you're going to see more and more of that in the next year or two, right? I think you're going to see more and more short sales and foreclosures. I had on our podcast recently Tony Martinez, who's the president of CDPE, Certified Distressed Property Expert. Okay, that's a certification, and you're going to see more and more of those. Do you believe that as well?
Um, as of right now, I'm not sure. The market is completely different than it was back then. I mean, I was speaking to people that were making next to nothing and had a $1 million home in Barrington. So these lenders, I saw firsthand, were giving loans to people that absolutely, you get a loan, you get a loan. Right now, I bought my first house last year, and I almost had to give my firstborn to get a loan. So right now, I don't see that happening. But if the lenders try to get too creative with their loaning, that will be concerning to me, because that's what had happened 12 years ago. Now, people will just stay in their homes. They don't have to sell. And if they're short on money, they have so much equity in their home that they don't have to go to foreclosure. The people that will go to foreclosure are maybe people that lost their job, or maybe someone that just should have never gotten a loan in the first place. Mm-hmm. So, and we'll also see, we had a halt on mortgage foreclosures and short sales for a while with COVID. So when you see those numbers go up, it's not so much, oh, they've increased by 50% or whatever that number is. It's just, no, we just haven't had any. So.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. I do think banks and lenders are being much more careful today than they were, previously. Bank of America, however, just announced, I think about a week and a half ago, zero down, zero closing cost mortgages for first-time home buyers in Black and Hispanic communities, and so some of these banks are being creative, which is great, to diversity groups. There's some people that are saying, how is this not When we're talking about discrimination, how is this not discrimination? But that's a whole nother topic I don't want to get into today. But you brought up a good point that you're not seeing the zero down, the stated incomes like we saw, 12, 13, 14 years ago. Um, and that you're exactly right. So I do think that will help, but I do think we are going to see more people that overpaid for something in Florida or Arizona or Tennessee or some of the Carolina and some of these hot markets. They bought a $500,000 home for 580 because there were 13 offers, and that home might not appreciate much. It might depreciate, and so you're going to see people that get discouraged. But that's a whole nother topic. So you were an attorney, you were a secretary before that because you couldn't find, none of these real estate companies were hiring. You got licensed as an agent when?
I got licensed as an agent in 2008.
2008, and they weren't hiring because that's right at the height of the downturn. And so you moved to a new area. You moved from Chicago to Arizona when?
I did. I moved here in 2015 and got my Arizona real estate license in 2016. So since 2016, I have been a more full-time real estate agent versus a lawyer. I still do practice. I have my own law firm, but I do things such as title review, phone calls, letters, negotiating. I'd say 90% of people, they just hear from a lawyer and they don't want to fight. So it's come in helpful at times. I don't always lead with that lawyer, but if she needs to come out, I'll bring her out.
You'll bring out the lawyer in you.
Bring her out. Yeah.
So, the topic for today, Audrey, is, in this case, you're attorney. You have two hats, right? The topic for today is helping agents that are watching or listening to this or watching a replay, broker owners, team leaders, maybe people not even in real estate, but leveraging your story, your previous career. How can you leverage that? Now, of course, yours, I think, is much easier than most, right? Because attorneys, although they're maybe not liked in a lot of circles, in some cases there's that trust and credibility, and in some cases ethics, in other cases there isn't ethics, right? But I think of an attorney as someone that is organized, they're educated, they confidentiality from a client standpoint. So for you, if I were to work with you to help leverage your story, especially with high net worth individuals, ultra high net worth individuals, time is important, trust is important. And so for you, I mean, I think it's on a silver platter. I think for you, you have a much easier time leveraging your background story than many people, right, do, that perhaps are new to real estate, or real estate wasn't their primary career. They didn't graduate or get their first job out of college as a real estate agent. I think it's more difficult, but I think there's certain professions that lend themselves to help catapult and spring themselves into those upper price points, and yours is one.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I also think that when you think of things as easy or difficult, that's just only going to hold you back. I always think if you are a hairdresser, don't look at yourself as just a hairdresser. Look at yourself as, creative, and, you're able to handle objections from your customers that they don't like things a certain way. You handle a lot of different personalities. So those are a lot of skills that, even lawyers don't have. So, I have team members, Samantha Sloan, she's my co-list. She's amazing. She's back here videoing me. She's very creative. I am in some ways, but
she's what I would call more right brain. Right. To keep it simple, in real estate, we talk about DISC a lot, Myers-Briggs, artificial intelligence, all this stuff, AI. But to keep it really simple, you got right brain and you have left brain. Your right brain are your assistant, the girl that's on your team that's more creative, right? They're more probably social, right? She's more probably high I and will network and go to events and not afraid to post about real estate and let people know what she does for a living, right? I tell agents all the time, shy real estate agents have skinny kids. You got to have your business card and let people know what you do for a living. So those are her strengths, where your strengths might be some of those same, but might be more, you're more organized and you're thinking 3-year, 5-year plans, and you're thinking about legalities and paperwork, and you're more linear thinking. And so having a mixture of team members that's left brain, right brain is a good thing. You might drive each other nuts at times, but you guys also complement each other.
Absolutely. So what I'm trying to say is that, never feel that, just because, you are a teacher or an engineer, or really find like what your skill set is, because that can be applied to real estate. Being a lawyer, people are impressed. They're impressed with that. But at the same time, I don't rely on just that title. I actually explain, hey, not just because I'm smart or I'm a lawyer, it's that because I'm used to being ready for objections. So when I sell a house, I'm not just saying, hey, this is beautiful, it has hardwood floors, brand new remodel. It's also, hey, when you pull your rules and regulations from your HOA, did you know that, you're required to plant certain amount of trees, or you have all of these limitations that a lot of buyers are not going to want. So how are we going to overcome that in order to sell your house and get it for the most money? Because a lot of agents don't think like that, but just because you're not a lawyer doesn't mean that you can't do those things.
Yeah. And that's really, at the end of the day, all the consumer cares about. If those of you that have heard me speak before, type it in. I'd love to know. First person to type it in, we'll email you a digital copy of our objection handling playing cards. Our objection handling playing cards, along with other swag, can be found at luxuryspecialsgear.com. Whoever types in first the most listened to radio station that the consumer listens to, we'll send those over to you. But remember, for you, Audrey, you are going to tell people about your background and how it benefits them from a due diligence, from a title standpoint. That barber might tell a story on how being well connected in the community, I'll get you on more eyeball traffic than just throwing it on a website. For me, I tell people, as a teacher, I had to work with, and as a former coach and a coach, okay, I had to blend different personalities, different backgrounds, and I'm used to that. And I understand people learn differently, different learning modalities. Some people are visual, some people listen, some people are hands-on. So when I go to market your home, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm not just going to throw it on the MLS. I'm thinking all the time, what can I do that's different, creative, to get your home sold? So again, how does it benefit them? That's ultimately what you need to think about. And German, you're exactly right. The most listened to radio station that seller cares about on that listing appointment, or that buyer cares about, is what's in it for them. No offense, they don't care that you went to DePaul or that I went to Northern Michigan. They care about how your law degree will benefit them. Okay, how that's going to get them more money on the sale of their home or protect them. Okay, that's what you have to remember. So we got some great comments. Ben, thanks for, 2008, we're talking about short sales was a disaster. Okay. So Ben, thanks for that. German, equity is nothing more than an insurance policy for the banks. Audrey was spot on about lending being so different now than back in 2008. It is different today, but there are more and more banks trying to be creative with DEI and other things that could be good, could be bad, could be a mixture. People buy home based on payment, low interest rates. And Ben, I don't disagree with you on that, but I'm actually going to do a video talking about how, although rates are double that they were a year ago, okay, how it might be a better investment for a buyer today to buy a home today, even though their monthly payment is higher and their payment overall, their interest rate is higher, because that $300,000 home they bought a year ago, they ended up paying $360,000, $370,000 because they were in 15 offers and 20% down on $300,000. Okay. is different today because they're paying 300 or less. They're probably paying 95% of the asking price today. So they were out of pocket less, and they have more equity today than they did a year ago because they overpaid a year ago. So I'm going to talk about that on a Luxury Friday. I'm going to bring on somebody as an expert to talk about payment and rates on a future Luxury Friday, because many buyers are on the fence today. They don't want to buy because, man, rates are higher or my payment's higher, but they're missing the mark. They're paying market value for it today. They might get it 95% of list price versus a year ago, multiple offers paying 10, 12, 15% above asking price. So when they go to sell in 5 to 7 years, they don't have equity. Or today you're buying, if you're selling in 5, 7, 10 years, you will have equity. So that's a whole nother topic. So anyways, look at that. Samantha, we got people giving you love today. Okay. So look at that. So Audrey, keep it up. I appreciate that. Some really good advice. I'd love anybody from watching this right now, no matter what platform you're on, let us know your previous career. Let us know what you did, and we will get Audrey's opinion and my opinion, how you can leverage that into your unique value proposition. So Audrey, while we're waiting on that, tell everybody, fast forward to today. You've had some great opportunities through networking and going to social settings with builders and developers. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I first started working with builders the end of last year. I met my first builder investor in a social setting and got to talking to him about real estate, and found out that he buys a lot here in Arcadia and Arcadia Light and Biltmore, which are mostly luxury areas in Phoenix. And they also build in San Diego. And we just established a relationship and told them about me, and they hired me for our first listing. That was in November of last year. So since then, they have bought 13 homes with me, and 2 of them are current. Well, one of them's on the market. One is soon to be on the market in a couple weeks. So it was definitely a crazy 6 months because, with some investors, they write a lot of offers. You're not always getting all of them. But yeah, we took off, and I've really used that experience to meet other builders as well.
So you're not afraid to network. When you approach these builders, these developers, do you have the what's in it for them mentality? In other words, you need to bring value. There's how many real estate agents are in Arizona? You probably don't know that answer, but there's a lot, right? Everybody knows a real estate agent. So you need to differentiate yourself. You need to bring more value to that relationship, that conversation. And how are you doing that?
Yeah, you need to know what skill set that you bring that no one else can or few people can. And I knew that's something I could offer and you also need to know your competition. In the luxury world, it's tight knit. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows what's been on the market, what won't sell. So really earning that respect of the community and legitimizing yourself. So for me, I just thought I was tired of working nonstop and I wanted to work smarter, not harder. So I looked up the top 10 luxury builders in Phoenix, and I got them on the phone, and I told them who I was and that I work with investors and builders and that I am an attorney. I'm able to find you off-market properties that other people can't because I have relationships. I can call up probate attorneys, divorce attorneys, mortgage foreclosure attorneys, and say, hey, my client, I'm Audrey Myers with Myers Law Group. My client is interested in this property. What's going on? Is it being litigated? Can we submit an offer? So immediately these lawyers, they talk to me because I'm another lawyer. So they will not talk to any other agents. So for me, I knew that these builders were going to think, who are you? So I told them, I said, I have something of value for you. I would love to talk to you about this and how we can bring you more business. And it was funny because before I brought up the lawyer and I was just introducing myself working with builders, you could see this a sense of, well, I'm already working with somebody, well, the market's a little slow, I don't want to buy. And then, well, and also I'm an attorney and I can talk to these probate attorneys and really get you in front of them on these distressed properties. It was like they immediately, and I mean, these are people, when I meet with them on their specs and in their offices, these are people, they're saying, I just want to let you know, I don't do this. I don't meet other agents. So, however, I wouldn't be intimidated. If you're not a lawyer, you can still find ways, like you could go to their office and knock on the door and say, hey, I was driving by and I saw this property that, I looked you up. I saw that you buy in Arcadia, because they're very impressed with not necessarily your education, but the way you stepped out of the box, the way that you did something that was uncomfortable. You just made an appointment with somebody. So anyone can just do that, do your research.
I mean, how, so keep, what's their ideal client? What are they looking more of, right? So they're looking for more opportunities, more developments, more flips, more in this case, right? So you don't need to be an attorney to do some due diligence and do some bird dogging, is a term that real estate investors use, but try to find them something. So, if we were to role play and you were the developer, I might say, hey, Audrey, right now, what are you looking from a business plan standpoint as 2023 approaches? Are you looking to do some more spec houses or custom homes or more subdivisions? I have access a lot of times to off-market properties, or we'll do some due diligence and do some digging to maybe find you something. So tell me what it is you're looking for. And now you're coming from a place of not just, hey, I want to list your spec, or hey, I want to be the agent in your subdivision, from a, let me help you find more what it is you're looking for. It's a different approach.
Yeah. And I do that. And I also, let's be honest, everybody loves a compliment. So if you're driving by and you see a home being built, as long as the gate's open, I take a little video, and if there's a painter there, I ask, hey, may I take a look at the house? And, I will, take a video, maybe tag, you can tag them on Instagram or call them up and say, hey, I saw your home and I was really impressed with your work. I mean, what's the worst thing they say? Oh, thank you. But they're immediately going to like you because you complimented them. But never lead with, oh, but maybe I can help sell your home. But when I lead the other way, like maybe one time somebody said, I'm working with somebody, I've been working with her for 50 years, but I don't like taking no for an answer. So I still, I thought, well, we got to talking about other things, like I worked with tax liens. Well, then his ears perked up. He said, well, actually, I'm looking into investing in tax liens and tax certificates in Arizona. So I have a meeting with him, even though he's worked with an agent for many years. So you have to be careful. Don't step on people's toes, because, people have agreements with other agents or whatever. But you just keep talking about like how you can
second opinion. Second opinion is the thing that I always remind people. Second opinion. Hey, Audrey, I know you have your preferred real estate brokerage that you work with. Hey, if you ever need a second opinion on something, you want a different perspective, you need a different evaluation, feel free, no obligation. I'm not in the arm twisting business, just a soft approach. So some really, really good information there. Any questions for Audrey here before we let her go? I got a couple other things I want to cover today. Any questions for Audrey? So we got somebody from the human resource department. So Samantha, I would leverage the heck out of the fact that you work with different personality types. You're not afraid to have those tough conversations. So Samantha, thanks for sharing that. Missy, tax advisor. So, tax, I would think just like attorney, you dot your I's, you cross your T's, your left brain, you're linear, you're organized, you're punctual. Those are all good things, Missy, in a real estate agent. German, a shuttle bus driver. I would talk to your people person. You want an agent that's a shy real estate agent to let somebody know to get your home sold, or you want somebody that their previous career, we talked, we were organized, I was an employee, I had to clock in, clock out, got great work ethic to get your home sold. So leverage that, so all really good information. I had to do a double check, but Ben, I thought it said Bon Jovi for a second. I thought I had Bon Jovi on my Luxury Fridays, but it's Ben Jovi. And Ben, we love you. Thanks for being on here. In this day and age, people will sue you over everything. Have an attorney, it's worth it. So you're right, from legal aspects. Um, you're absolutely right. Um, so this is um, a question for Audrey, though. How would you recommend a real estate agent get in the luxury market for the first time? It feels intimidating. So, Audrey, give her your thoughts, and then I will give my thoughts. That we cover a lot on our Luxury Fridays, a lot on our podcast. This is one of our most commonly asked questions, so I'd be happy to answer it for her. But go ahead, Audrey. What do you recommend?
I am big on mentoring. So everybody in this business should have a mentor. So we are looking for team members to help us in our business, and really associating yourself with a luxury agent or someone that's branching into the field. That would be my number one. Actually, don't do it alone. If you're doing this alone, you're probably not doing that well. Or you're lying, you're not doing it alone. So yeah, I would totally recommend finding a team such as myself. Michael is very experienced as well. But yeah, really lean on people that are experienced and learn from us, learn what to do and what also not to do. With my team, I say, okay, these are the mistakes I made. You're going to make mistakes, but here, hopefully you learn from me. Don't do this.
Absolutely. Tony Robbins says success leaves clues. That's a great question. Feel free. We do our live trainings, in-person trainings. Somebody asked about getting the designation, but they don't want to come to Milwaukee. I would still go to luxurydesignation.com. You guys go there. You'll see all the bonus items we're offering. Over $2,200 in bonus, $2,445 in value. Literally, if you go to luxurydesignation.com, you'll find out more information. But I'd recommend that as well. Grow your knowledge and your confidence will grow. We will give you the tools and resources to be more confident. You will have, if you're on a team already and you're not getting the support that you need in the luxury side, we help you. We help brands launch luxury divisions. We'd be happy to help. Audrey, you were awesome today. I thank you for being on. We have a couple more things I want to cover, so I'm going to let you go here. But real quick, Audrey, what's the best way for somebody to get in touch with you if they have a question?
They can call or email me. I can
type that in the comment section if you would. So call or email Aubrey. The best way to get in touch with her, if you're watching this live, that's the best way. Aubrey, you were amazing today. Matt says, yep, Matt beat you to it. Matt had a question. So Aubrey, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much, Michael.
All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. We're talking about